Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this episode of Wrestle Talk with Bear and BDuB. On this edition of BDuB's Thoughts, as I break down each and every WrestleMania, and now I'm on one of my favorites, live from Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is WrestleMania IX. This one is the first WrestleMania with good old JR Jim Ross. I remember this. This is the first WrestleMania I ordered. Well, my parents ordered for me. I was in first grade, and I remember me, my sister, and my neighbor were watching it, and he was like, "That's the guy from WCW." So, the world's largest toga party, and I remember them coming out there, and Macho Man, he comes out and he's getting by the Vestal virgins, and he comes out there, and then here comes Bobby the Brain Heenan on a camel. And all throughout the night, he's talking about he was supposed to have the Vestal Virgins, and Macho Man switched it. And Macho Man kept calling him Camel Breath, and they kept talking about how much he stinked. And remember, me and my sister were looking at it, was like, ew. So, it was a nice opening ceremony. Gorilla Monsoon wasn't doing commentating at this one, but he was in the back and, pretty much being the host of WrestleMania. Um, Intercontinental Championship match. Shawn Michaels taking on Tatanka. I was disappointed personally, but Shawn Michaels again, great performance. Tatanka, he was no slouch. He held his own. This is when Luna Vachon came out, and nobody knew who she was. And Sensational Sherry came out, and she accompanied Tatanka. Well, she came out after Tatanka. And next thing you know, them two were. Next thing you know, those two were fighting. At the end of the match, of course, Shawn Michaels losing by disqualification. Um, the Head Shrinkers and the Steiner Brothers. This is the Steiner Brothers' only appearance at a WrestleMania. Good, solid match. Great match by the Steiner Brothers. Um, Crush versus Doink the Clown. The WrestleMania moment in this one is seeing the two clowns at the end of the match where Crush won. If I'm not mistaken, yeah, he won by counter or disqualification or something like that. But then you had two clowns beating up. Um, Razor Ramon and Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund's first WrestleMania. Uh, you know, Razor Ramon got the schoolboy pin or the backslide pin or something like that. It was a clean victory, but it wasn't like it was a knockout. He didn't hit the Razor's edge. But this one was, this WrestleMania, I thought it was well put together. Everything fell right in its place. Money Inc. taking on the Mega Maniacs. I remember growing up being disappointed with this one. I wanted the Mega Maniacs to win the tag titles, but that wasn't to be. But WrestleMania moment in this one when they were sitting up there giving out the money, they took the briefcase, they pulled out a brick. Now, I guess that was to represent. That's how they broke Beefcake's face. If you remember, Beefcake had his face damaged, which was messed up in a car accident, and it was messed up. He got messed up in a car accident. And he came back, and they hit him with the briefcase. So I guess that's what the brick represented. My man Cameron G, his favorite match, the Narcissist Lex Luger and Mr. Perfect. Like he said, match told a story. Great build up to it. Lex Luger had just knocked out Bret Hart the night before. This match, like before going into this match, he was out there, and remember, just check. You guys got to check out Cam's comments on Facebook on the Wrestle Talk with Bear and BDuB page because he brought up a good point. How Mr. Perfect had messed up Lex Luger's name. He called it the Lexicist, the Narcissist, and he's like, "I'm so excited, Mean Gene. I had a hole in one." Dig and Mean Gene says, "All right, don't go too far. I want to go to the tables." Which what does that symbolize? He's Mr. Perfect, you know. So that was a good match. Going into that, I wanted to see Perfect win. Didn't really care. The ending made sense, Then at the end, he gets knocked out, and then he gets something and goes like this, and then storms to the back, and then that him and Shawn Michaels get into it. that's what led to their match at SummerSlam. Of course, this was the first WrestleMania before the King of the Ring. I mean, this is the first WrestleMania where they had something in between WrestleMania and SummerSlam. This is where they introduced King of the Ring. And they, I remember watching that. They said one night somebody be king. So then you had Undertaker versus the Giant Gonzales. By now, Undertaker is 3-0 at WrestleMania. Nobody's paying attention to the streak. Might have been other people 3-0. I remember that cloth, and they kept saying, "What's that? Chlorophyll." And it was just so funny where they, Undertaker was knocked out while the ref was knocked out, and then there was a disqualification, and they put him on a stretcher. So and then JR goes, "I seen him put a lot of bodies on stretchers, but I never seen him on one." So that was interesting. I know I'm going through each and every match, ladies and gentlemen, but like I said, this is one of my favorites. One of my favorite WrestleManias. Like I said, I remember it was outside. It was the world's biggest toga party. I remember I forgot which game it was, but one of them, they had that arena on the video game, one of the SmackDowns. Then good old, not good old JR, but Gene Okerlund. Oh, that was another thing. Going into that Harvey Whippleman and John Gonzalez match, you had Bobby the Brain Heenan and Macho Man arguing, and before that, they was constantly arguing about nothing really. Because the match before, Heenan kept pumping up the Narcissist while Savage was a big Perfect fan and didn't really like what had transpired. But anyway, going into the main event, Bret Hart being the excellence of execution. He had got knocked out before, but you really didn't see no effects of it, obviously. But, him and Yoko had a great match. He really showed that you could put the sharpshooter. He said he couldn't be done, but he showed that you could put the sharpshooter on a 500-pounder. And then afterwards, he would get thrown, had to start throwing his eyes and lose. Then Hogan comes out, and, this is when they give, he's Mr. Fuji gets in the ring and say, "Hogan, you big man, my Yokozuna, issue a challenge, big man." And that was just crazy in itself. And that's when, Hogan would go ahead and win the title for a fifth time. And, it was a big WrestleMania moment seeing Hogan celebrate at the end. Like I said, overall one of my favorite WrestleManias. Great booking from start to finish. Each match was good. I don't know why a lot of people sleep on it. Like I said, still one of my favorites. But, ladies and gentlemen, be sure to follow us. I want to know your comments. I know my man Cam is going to put his comments in. I want to hear what he say. Hopefully I didn't miss anything. So, ladies and gentlemen, make sure you check it next episode out as I go in to WrestleMania 10. 10 years in the making. Thank you.